Hi guys, this is Andrew and welcome to the first in my series of programming tutorials. In this series I'm going to focus on C++. This course is intended for people who have no idea what programming or C++ is, so I'm just going to tell you about the basics, and hopefully by the end of the course you should be able to use C++ to write a couple of simple programs. Okay, so before we do anything, you need to download a compiler or an IDE, and what it is, I've chose to download something called Dev C++. What this is a compiler is something that acts like a translator or a middleman between the code that you type in and the computer. So it translates the code into something the computer can read and run. Okay, so to download this, just go to just Google Dev C++. You should find it there quite easily. You don't have to use Dev C++. If you're familiar with any other compilers like Microsoft Visual C++, feel free to use it, but I chose to use this one for this these basic tutorials, because you don't need a lot of fancy stuff here. Okay, so once you've installed and downloaded it, it should look something like this. It probably won't look completely like what I have here. What you want to do is you want to open up a new source file. You do this by pressing this source file button here. It opens up a new one. These tabs signify the source files. Because I have already opened up a new source file, I'm just going to close this one here and then just save it. Just go to File, Save As. I've saved mine already, so I'm not going to be doing that. Okay, so let's get straight into it. First of all, I'm just going to write some code here. It's not going to make any sense to you, but I'm just going to write it here, and then I'm going to explain what all this means. Okay, using this space td colon int main open bracket close bracket int curly bracket open return 0. Here we go. Okay, so this is the basic skeleton of C++. If we were to run this now, we would have a program, but it wouldn't do anything. Okay, and I'm just going to quickly explain to you what all this means. These two things here, they're libraries. I'm not going to go too in depth about them because you don't need to know. Basically, libraries are kind of pre-installed rules, they're pre-installed code to help our programmers. So for example, this tells the computer to include the IOStream library, and the IOStream allows for the user to input and output C++ commands. So IO stands for input and output. Namespace I will get to in just a second, and then we get this piece here, int main. All of this is a function. Now functions and procedures are very common in high level languages like C++, Java, Pascal, that kind of stuff. So what this is it kind of encapsulates data. Instead of having your code as one big jumble of writing and then running it, and then if something goes wrong, which it's bound to, it'll be very messy because you wouldn't be able to find what went wrong where. You kind of encapsulate data in procedures or functions to make it more stable. So if one function has the code to calculate the money, and the other function has the code to calculate the employees, if something goes wrong in the money function, it won't affect, or shouldn't affect, the employees that much, and you'll be able to fix it a lot quicker. So this is a main function. It's the main function of the C++ program. Pretty much every single C++ program, at least every single one I'm going to be teaching you about, needs to have a main function. It's kind of like the brains. So to do a function, you go int, then you do a function name, which is main, then you put open bracket and close bracket. I'll tell you about that in another lesson. And then these curly brackets signify the beginning and the end of the function. So anything outside them, sorry, it will not be in the main function. One more thing here is we have something return 0. Because a function needs to return a value, because it's a mathematical thing, you need to have a value at the end of it. Because we're not doing anything mathematical here, and this is a main function, the value should always be 0, at least for now. Okay, so remember just to put 0. Also, one more thing, you may have noticed semicolons here and here. Semicolons are very important in C++ because they signify the end of the line for the computer. You see, computers don't have eyes, so unlike people, so right now we are reading, if we start from the top of the program, we're reading include IOStream, then we go on to using namespace, then int main. Computers can't do that, they will just keep on reading this line forever. So you need to tell them you need to put a semicolon in there in order to tell them when to stop reading. You don't need to do it for some, like this IOStream library or the int main, but for a lot of normal commands like return and namespace, you need to put a semicolon there. Okay? So this is the bare skeleton of the program. I'm going to be using this code in all my other tutorials from now on instead of writing it out all the time, so practice this code. What you want to do is you want to actually make the program useful, so I'm just going to make it output in command prompt the word hello, two words hello world. Okay, and in order to do that you need to do cout, two less than signs, quote hello world. Sorry, world. It's too early in the morning, bad spelling day for me. Then you do two less than brackets again, and L, and then semicolon. Okay, now what does all of this mean? Well, these two statements, cout and endl, refer to the namespace library. Basically, the namespace library contains these two statements. Without them, you would not be able to use them. It's like basically a memory bank. That's what it is. So, what we have here is cout is a statement that basically tells the computer, okay, output the following sequence onto the screen of the computer. Then you have these two brackets, you need them, I'll talk about them in another lesson, but just put these two less than signs then. Then you open up a quote mark, then everything which is in a quote will be in red, that's what's going to be outputted onto the screen. So then you close it, and it's no longer red. So whatever you put in here, it's not going to be code, so it doesn't matter, except a couple of exceptions. Then you put two less than signs again, and endl. Endl basically means end line, which is a bit different from this end line. And endl signifies the end of line when you output the code. It will go on to the next line, whereas this signifies the computer to go on to the next line. We don't have to have endl here, but it's good practice too, because without it, it would just all the code will be on the same line. Okay, so hopefully we should be able to run this project now. So you should go to execute, compile and run, or F9. It should be compiling it. We'll wait for it depends how fast your computer is and how fast it will compile it. So mine obviously isn't too fast. There we go. If you managed to catch what that was, the command prompt window opened up for a second and then closed, and a lot of people when they first start programming, they start panic because they think, why did this happen? Why that's something wrong? You have not done anything wrong. Basically what it is the computer will run through this code from top to bottom, get to this bit here, and shut down the command prompt because it's done everything, and the command prompt will just shut down. So that's just how it works. In order to stop that, you need to do system command, then open bracket, quote, pause, and quote, close bracket. Oh, whoops, didn't mean for that to happen. So here we go. Pause, close bracket. Oh god. And then remember the semicolon. Okay. So here we go. Hopefully that should run now. So let's go to execute, compile and run. Hopefully after we compile it, the window should work. There we go. As you can see, hello world. It stopped it, so we just need to press any key to stop it. But there we go. You have a working program. It's being really slow today, but there you go. So that's the code for a basic program. So keep on practicing this, and in the next lesson I will return and we will learn something new. Okay. So thank you for watching.